I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
Better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 218. If you don't already know, I'm Keff Ciardello, coming to you on Thursday, January 1st. And Happy New Year, sickos. Truly the dawning of a new era for Texas State, with the Pac-12 on the horizon. Not official until July 1st, but 2026 will be the first year for the Bobcats in a new conference. So exciting times ahead, an exciting year for the Bobcats. Before we even get to any of that, though, the Bobcats have a bowl game this Friday, the Armed Forces Bowl against the Rice Owls. Noon kickoff at TCU Stadium in Fort Worth. Hope to see a lot of you there. I know I will be there. And we have a special guest here for this episode, none other than GJ Kinne himself, the head coach for the Texas State football team. Joined us to preview this bowl game. We talk about the bowl game, the transfer portal, some changes on the defensive side of the ball. Brad Jackson, of course, how can you not talk about that guy? Great interview ahead, something special for you leading up to the bowl game. I hope you enjoy that one. We'll get to that interview. We'll also preview the game just a little bit before I head into that one. But it's some good stuff, and we'll get to it. But before we get there, this episode is brought to you by TGC LLC, the GalindoCollective.com. That's Galindo, GalindoCollective.com. A team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com and follow their social media platforms on Twitter at TGC_LLC and on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. Shout out to my guy, Rick Galindo, a Texas State grad, a true Texas State sicko. This is the third bowl game he's been a part of, partnering with Win Now or Get Bent. Can't thank Rick Galindo enough. Go check them out again at thegalindocollective.com. That's Galindo, thegalindocollective.com. Got to give a quick one to our guys at bhihats.com. Been having it hats. I've got the State Script hat on once again. I wore it when I interviewed GJ Kinne. He gave it a compliment. I wish I had the record button pushed right before, but he liked it. He's a fan of it. Go find yours at bhihats.com. Punch in WNOGB at your checkout for 10% off. Again, promo code WNOGB for 10% off at bhihats.com. All right, let's get to these Bobcats. We won't have too much lead into the interview. That's going to be the big portion of this episode because we cover a lot of the topics that I was going to talk about anyway. I'll preview it just a little bit for you here. The big one for me is 0 defensive holdouts for Texas State. We've seen some other players. They've entered the portal, so they won't be playing in the bowl game. A lot of that is on the offensive side of the ball. None on defense, which is huge. Even though the defense had its issues throughout the season, the fact that you have a full unit for this bowl game is fantastic for the Bobcats. And it says a lot about it for a team that fired its defensive coordinator in Dexter McCoyle and put in interim Matthew Gregg. It says a lot about Matthew Gregg that he's able to have these players still believe in what they're bringing in. Because I know the last episode we spoke on Will Wyndham and Marcus Patton, two coaches coming in. Will Wyndham coming over from South Alabama. He was their DC, coming over to Texas State as DC. Marcus Patton was the DC at Sacramento State. He's coming over as an assistant coach. Those two additions aren't official. I even asked GJ Kinne about it, and he didn't comment too much on it, just confirmed that they are coming in. But so that isn't official yet. So it is still Matthew Gregg. He will be the interim coach for the bowl game and everything. And you could feel it when all through December when you were seeing some of these defensive players. I brought it up on the last episode with players like Jaden Lawton. When he said he was going to come back, that kind of signaled to me that players that Matthew Gregg had developed these relationships with and brought in through recruiting, when they're saying that they're staying, that he's still in their plans going forward, whether it is at DC or on staff. And when we talked to GJ Kinne, he confirmed he even gave him a raise and everything, had to fight off some other teams to keep Matthew Gregg there. So I'm really glad to see that. I've been a big fan of him. I've praised him a lot on this pod, even though there were issues with the defense. It wasn't like everything needed to be squashed. It really just needed a good scheme change. They have a lot of talented players. You know, it was a lot of what we talk about during the season with the 4-2-5 was maybe just not the right personnel for that style of defense, but they still had some talented players in some areas. And so switching up this scheme, we'll see. I wonder what it's going to look like on Friday, how much change Gregg has put in there. But shout out to Matthew Gregg for being able to hold on to these players and have them play in this bowl game and believe in what he's doing enough. I mean, it just says a lot after all that change, a little turmoil when there's a coach is fired, then you have a D-line coach leave with Mike O.G. So despite all those changes to keep all those defensive players, I think that's really impressive, and that needs to be commended. On the offensive side, they're going to be without some guys. We knew about Talik Lockett already. We saw Jalen Jenkins. He announced he's going into the portal, although it seems like he might still be around. We're not exactly sure if Jalen Jenkins is actually going to go into the portal or not. But a little bit of need some clarity on that one. But we do know Brock Riker, he is going into the portal. Basically all the transfer backup quarterbacks that Texas State got in the offseason with Gerner, with Luster, with Yarnell, they're all gone. And the backup is Gavin Parkhurst, who was a true freshman this past season. We didn't see a whole lot of him. We talked about him some on the pod. I will say when I did get to see him, he does look the part. You can see the potential. You see the big arm. You see the size that he has. GJ Kinne talks about his athletic ability as well and what he brings. I mean, if it would either need to be a blowout or a really bad situation to see Parkhurst in this game. Hopefully it's the first one if he does enter the game. It'd be nice to kind of see what the freshman has, you know, him out there. Nice to see him get elevated. Hopefully he sticks around and develops. We saw that really pay dividends with Brad Jackson. If you stick around, you don't just enter the portal and just try and play somewhere else. I still wish, you know, PJ Hatter, he left for Georgia State. I wish he had stuck around and been in the system a little bit. And who knows, maybe he would have a little bit more opportunity in this offense. But, you know, to the big one is Brock Riker, obviously, the redshirt freshman getting in there at center, elevated to the starting position. He's off and gone. You have to imagine that the price tag is just really high for a guy that size, that young, has proven that he can take responsibility by moving over to center after not really being that and learning and getting the snaps down and everything. I think it might be like an Alex Harkey situation where the price is just too high. They're going after him and he's gone. So they'll be without some offensive guys, but more players announcing that they're coming back than actually leaving. I know that was a big part of the episode in episode 217. So go back and listen to that one if you haven't. We talk all about that one. Coming up on Friday for the bowl game against the Rice Owls, Texas State is favored by 14.5 points. Unlike Texas State, the Rice Owls have had a lot of players enter the transfer portal, including their starting quarterback, a backup quarterback. They're going to be without some guys. This is a team that finished 5-6. They got into a bowl game because some other teams decided they didn't want to play in a bowl game. So it is a bit of a down opponent for Texas State. But definitely a team you can't underestimate, and any given game in college football can go any way. So it's definitely still one you have to prepare for, especially with the style of offense that they're probably going to trot out with this triple option offense. Not something Texas State really saw this season. We have seen GJ Kinne and his staff have a month to prepare for these bowl games, and they come out and they look really sharp. It's interesting to think back at the First Responder Bowl last season when they played UNT, and it was Drew Mestmaker. This was supposed to be a quarterback who hadn't started a game since he was a freshman in high school. His first collegiate start since freshman ball for the guy. So it seemed like this was like, okay, this is an opponent that Texas State is just going to roll over. Then they end up winning by just 2 points. Messmaker had that 70-yard touchdown towards the end of the game to make it close. And it felt a little bit like a disappointment, like, oh, wow, Texas State really let this one go after being favored by so much. But then what we saw from Drew Messmaker and UNT this year, a lot of those players that did what UNT did this season were playing in that bowl game, in the First Responder Bowl, including Drew Messmaker. Obviously, he had way more experience under his belt between that bowl game to lead up to the season and everything. But that was just a way better team than was probably on paper at the time when we were looking at it going into that game, looking at that situation, the quarterback, everything. That opponent, they didn't seem as strong as they would end up being. So it actually ended up being a really nice win for Texas State, having a month to prepare for that bowl game, because the First Responder Bowl and now the Armed Forces Bowl coming up on Friday, you've had to wait for these games. I've had to wait till after Christmas. This one we're waiting till after the New Year. It was the same deal with First Responder last year. The First Responder in 2023 was the day after Christmas, so it wasn't as long of a wait. But it is a lot of time to prepare, and we've seen when GJ Kinne has a lot of time to prepare, it's ended up really well for him. Even when you think about how they start the season, those first 3 years with a win, especially that first one, that win over Baylor, when he has a lot of time to prepare for an opponent, he comes up with a nice game plan. So I anticipate the same for this Friday. You've got Brad Jackson starting. You've got Lincoln Perry in his last game as a Bobcat. You got Chris Don, Bo Sparks. You've got a lot of these great players that are going to be on this offense. So they're going to score a lot of points. It's what I anticipate for this Texas State team, and to get the whole defensive unit back, 0 holdouts, like I said, on the defensive side of the ball. I think we're gonna have a fun game for the Bobcats. You know, some turnovers were really a tough deal for the defense during the season. They started to figure it out towards the end of the season. Actually, if you look at the end of the season stats, they weren't too bad in the turnover margin. It's like the first 6 games though, they only had 1, something like that. So it was, but I'm anticipating some turnovers in this game, especially when Chase Jenkins, their starting quarterback, he's in the portal. That's the big one, the big player that they have. They've had a lot of other players in the portal, but Chase Jenkins not being in there, that just signals to me that whoever they're going to have at quarterback is going to have a tough time playing against an experienced team. So I think it's going to be a big day for the Bobcats. I think they're going to be well prepared for this opponent. A lot of fans are definitely going to be there. As far as I know, Texas State has sold out their allotment for fans at the Armed Forces Bowl, so should be a ton of Texas State fans drinking the vendors dry once again in the DFW. We'll see how that one goes, but I'm excited. I'm gonna get up there. I'm actually, I said it was wished you Happy New Year. I'm actually recording this on Wednesday. Maybe I'll release it New Year's Eve. It just feels like a lot of people are doing stuff. I know myself personally. I stay home on New Year's Eve. There was once upon a time I was an Uber driver, and that's the one thing I did like to do was drive Uber on New Year's Eve. Man, you could make like $600 doing that. It was some good stuff. But now, not enough. It's been a long time since I did that. Now I stay home, listen out for fireworks and everything, stay off the road. So, but I digress. It's a new year for the Bobcats. It's a lot of exciting stuff coming up for Texas State. We'll get to it though. Let's get to GJ Kinne. A nice interview with GJ talking about the bowl game and everything. So we'll go ahead and we'll get to him. The man himself, GJ Kinne. We are joined by GJ Kinne, head coach of the Texas State Bobcats. He is on the scene in Fort Worth preparing for the Armed Forces Bowl against the Rice Owls on Friday. GJ, thanks for joining us. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm great, man. Appreciate you. Glad I could come on here, man. I always like to support my guy, Keff.
Hey, good looking. I like to support my guy GJ and those
I appreciate
Bobcats.
that.
No
Appreciate
doubt
it.
about it. 3rd season in a row we're doing this. We're meeting right around New Year's. I should wish you a happy New Year to you and your family. It's nice to be back into bowl season. What does that mean for you for this being the 3rd year when you look at it, when you came to Texas State and I remember you talking about, I had no idea the Bobcats hadn't
Yeah.
been to a bowl game. Now we're talking about the Bobcats going to a 3rd consecutive one. Just what does that mean to you to be at this point now?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you kind of reflect back on and you can be happy about. Obviously, when you're in the process, you have, all different kind of goals and all that kind of stuff. But I was thinking about with Chris Don the other day, and obviously with him announcing he's coming back, and I just told him, I said, hey, this is your, you've been here for 3 years, third consecutive bowl game. Hopefully, another bowl victory, get 3 rings, and have a chance to go 4 for 4, in your Tech State career. I mean, when you really look at that, you're like, man, that's pretty cool. It's pretty special. Not a lot of people can say that, and so we've done a lot of really, really good things here and a lot to be proud of, and then a lot to be excited about, moving forward.
Speaking of Chris Don, we saw it right off the bat when the season ended. We saw Brad Jackson, Bo Sparks, Chris Don. We've seen other players follow suit where they're announcing that they're coming back, which is a nice change of pace when you see all these announcements of players leaving. Just getting these guys to come back. What goes into that, and what does that say about your culture that you're trying to instill there, where guys they could leave for greener pastures, if you will, but they want to stay with you and they want to compete and play.
Yeah, man, we really do. We have some really special relationships with our players and a lot what we've built these last couple of years, and I think there's been a lot of sweat equity that's by those guys put into this program, and a lot of them too academically. People seem to forget about that. Like, Chris has an opportunity to graduate next year from Texas State, and so I think, offensively, with those three that you talked about, they know what type of offense they're going to be in. They know they're going to be able to produce. They know they're going to have an opportunity to play at the next level. I think the pack, going to the pack really helped. It's exciting, man. We're going to play some really quality teams, some really quality universities, some really cool places. And they have the season that they did a year ago. I mean, they got a chance to do whatever they want to as far as talking about the NFL, the next level. And so I think there's just a lot of things to like about Texas State, a lot of things to like about their situation. And the grass isn't always greener. We saw that with a couple guys that left last year, and I think that was some good data for those guys to analyze and look at and say, okay, I can do whatever I want to, right here.
And even looking on the defensive side of the ball, if I have this right, maybe you can confirm it for me. Zero holdouts for defense, right, on the defensive side of the ball for this bowl game.
Yep. Yep, exactly right. And we have some really good players on that side of the ball and guys that we signed back on defense as well. Maybe just not announced. And so, the future is very bright on that side of the ball as well. And we're excited to kind of go showcase our ability on in the bowl game. I don't even know what day we play, Friday maybe, and then really start building this thing for next year.
Speaking of holdouts, we heard some things where like Brock Riker probably won't be in the bowl game. Some backup quarterbacks as well, specifically at that quarterback position with some guys in the portal. What's the backup situation looking like for the Bobcats on Friday?
Yeah, yeah, Gavin Parkhurst, man, what a stud. A guy that's really taken advantage of, these last couple of weeks of bowl prep and has really looked outstanding. Hopefully we don't see him. But one of those guys that we signed him for a reason. We thought he was super talented, but you never know until, you get a guy and super smart, can process very well. I know we've talked about that multiple times when evaluating quarterbacks and in this system. We put a lot on those guys at the quarterback position. And so that's one thing, same thing when you're talking about evaluating yourself and self-evaluations and the guys that can handle the load mentally. And so Gavin was committed to Rice and was a winner, state championship, and we felt like he fit the profile, And he's had a really outstanding freshman year on scout team. I know the defensive coaches really raved about him all year over there on scout team. And then but you don't get any team reps. We're able to do some of the Bobcat ball that we talked about. Basically, the young guys getting out there and basically having a couple live drives and kind of a scrimmage type atmosphere. And first couple of practices were maybe a little rough, but then these last couple, last 2 weeks probably, he's looked really good, and he's got a strong arm, super accurate. Um, Throws the ball like he has he's very savvy, throws from different arm angles, kind of a sneaky athletic guy. And but I think his best thing is he processes. I mean, he can take the information from the meeting room and then go apply it to the field very easily, and that's huge for us because we have so many wrinkles each and every game plan that it takes a lot mentally for a quarterback.
That'll be interesting with Parkhurst. I know getting to see him a little bit in fall camp. There was a lot to be made of, obviously, about Brad Jackson and the transfers that came in. But you look at the true freshman, he's a bigger quarterback at 6'3". You can see the strength in his arm.
Yeah,
You can see the potential there. So it's interesting to see him get this opportunity. Like you're saying, hopefully you don't see him, but for him
yeah,
to be elevated at this point, it's pretty cool in his
yeah.
development.
Yeah, exactly right. And he's just a great kid, and someone you want in your program, and had a really great fall academically, and so having some success on and off the field, which is good to see.
We talked about the 2026 class the last time I spoke with you. And are any of those players, are they practicing leading up to the bowl game? I know we've seen that before, where they can
Yeah.
get in there and practice but not play in the game. Has that been happening this year?
Yeah, because of the late bowl game, we just have one guy, just the local Diggy, is the only guy, San Marcos kid, just because it's such a late bowl game with Christmas and all that, let those guys kind of enjoy their last, time with their family. And guys like Keys played in the state championship game. So we want those guys to be able to rest their body and really be fresh coming into this thing. But we do have quite a few mid-year high school early enrollees, which is, I think the most we had was two was Brad and Kylan a couple years ago. I think we have 7 or 8 this year, so it'll be good to see.
The defensive side of the ball, we have Coach Matthew Gregg. He's taken over the play calling, but we also know that we have hasn't been officially announced. I don't think it has by the school. We've seen some names pop up as defensive coordinator: Will Wyndham, Marcus Patton coming over from Sac State. Are you able to talk about them at all and what they're going to bring going in 2026? Obviously, I don't
Yeah,
think they're there for the bowl game, but just
yeah,
just the changes on defense at all.
yeah. Haven't been officially announced yet, so we'll kind of wait on that. But can confirm those two guys. Will be with us next year.
Great. Well, we'll ask more about them when they're
Yeah, that'll be
official
good.
on that
Perfect.
end. But Coach Greg taking over the interim defensive coordinator for this Friday. He's been with you for a long time. We've seen some. He's been a terrific recruiter. Seen some great things on the defensive backside. What went inside your decision to promote him in this time when you're this middle period between defensive coordinators?
Yeah, I think Coach Greg is just a really excellent coach. First and foremost, obviously, he does a great job recruiting. But we've been together since 2022 at UIW, and someone that I lean on, on the defensive side of the ball, even when the other coaches were here. So I just knew he would do a great job, and he could get the guys to play hard, and they love Coach Greg, and sometimes that's a lot of the battle, in these bowl games is who wants it more, who wants to play hard, and the opt-outs and all that kind of good stuff. So, man, Coach Greg does an excellent job, and he's a super, super coach, and glad we're able to get him for another year, next year.
Well, that's good. That was going to be a little bit of a follow-up. Like, is he going to be on the staff?
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
kind of
yeah. We
laid it
signed
out
him
there.
to an extension and raise as well this offseason, and he'll have some more titles added to his name as well. So really good coach, and had to fend off some people to hold on to him. And so that's usually how it is on each side of the ball. When you have some success.
I imagine that went a long way the no holdouts on defense either. I
Yeah, I
imagine
think
you're
so. I think so. And you know, these guys, as much as it is coaching, but these guys want to play for each other and these seniors, and I know a lot of people talk about bowl games not matter as much, but it matters to us for sure. It matters to these seniors, and like I said, we're trying to make it three for three, 3 years, three rings.
absolutely. It's funny we've gotten to this point. We haven't even talked about Rice coming up on Friday. That's it's an opponent you're familiar with, even though it's a different coaching staff, a different team altogether than the very first bowl game in 2023, but still a familiar team. Going into it, you guys are favored pretty heavily by 2 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. What is your feel of the Rice Owls coming into it, even though they're maybe a little overlooked? Is this an opponent that you're trying to tell your team, hey, don't underestimate anybody, especially in a bowl game?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a super quality team at a really good conference, and what they do offensively obviously keeps you up at night. Basically running the triple option out of spread formations, and don't really know who the quarterback's going to be, and didn't initially get bowl eligible, and then had an opportunity to play in a bowl game, so they're going to be hungry and trying to prove themselves, and I know they have really really good coaches, and this is their first year in this program, so. These extra bowl practices are huge for those guys, and so I'm sure they'll have some new wrinkles, and they have good players. Now you see it, you watch the film, you can feel it. I mean, offensively, their skill is really really good. They have some really talented playmakers over there on offense, and defensive coordinator does a great job, and their defense. Definitely not overlooking them by any means, and anything can happen in these bowl games. It's kind of crazy. You talk about the penalties, and special teams is always huge in these bowl games, and just a lot of sloppy play. These especially some of these later bowl games that are later in the year. You haven't played in almost a month, so things can get tend to get a little sloppy in these later bowl games.
Yeah, and with Rice, you mentioned that offense and how even though their quarterback Chase Jenkins, he went into the portal, that it's still a little bit of a different offense with the triple option.
Yeah.
Do you think they're still going to stick with that? Is that something that you've game planned defensively with Coach Greg to kind of prepare for this
Yeah.
style of offense?
Yeah, I think you got to prepare for that, and luckily we've had a month to prepare for those kind of things. Now, obviously, just like anything, an offense like that, you can never replicate it to the style that they play or, exactly how they do it, just because that's what they do and they're really good at it. You can just try to simulate it in practice and give guys the best looks, and obviously they're going to have different wrinkles for bowl games, just like everyone does. So we'll have to figure out, who the quarterback is and kind of how they're trying to attack us. And good thing is they don't know exactly what we're going to do either, so there's a little bit of chess play there.
Yeah, have you held back any plays on offense just for the bowl game? Anything special we can
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
anticipate?
we always have plays, and that we haven't necessarily run throughout the season that maybe we want to run in a bowl game, and so we always got some things that we're working on.
Got some tricks up your sleeve for sure. You
Yeah,
met
we're not a huge trick play team, but obviously you got them at your, if you need them, kind of like the Lafayette game at the second half. We have some things that we work on throughout the year, just calling at the right time.
And speaking of this offense, it's led by Brad Jackson. What a season for him, redshirt freshman season. We've talked a lot about Brad Jackson, but just go on speak on his leadership and what he has, where he's at. Like from the beginning of the season, we already saw the leadership qualities. To now at this time, where he has all these starts under his belt, what's he like to be around now, and what his impact on this team altogether?
Yeah, Brad's just a super person, really good football player, obviously, has shown the ability to be very efficient, both running the ball and throwing the ball. Great leader. I think he was right at a 4.0. He just his work ethic is he does some things from a work ethic standpoint as a young freshman quarterback that a lot of NFL guys don't do. The way he prepares, the amount of time that he studies. So I think having guys like Lindsey Scott and Jordan McLeod, around him early in his career really helped him kind of see two guys that prepare the right way. So that was really good for him to see. And he's kind of taken, what he's learned from those guys and kind of putting his own spin on it. And he does some really cool things to prepare. Might be one of those things if you ever get him on the pod, maybe ask him about. I think it's, some next level stuff. So he's just a great kid and really cares, you know, about the team's success, obviously his success, and then he's a guy that just loves Texas State. And I think this day and age in college football, sometimes that's hard to find a guy that just loves his school. It's not just about him or his stats or how much this or that he can get. Man, he loves Texas State, and he wants us to be successful. He wants to leave a legacy, and um, just really excited to have him back for another year, and we'll figure out the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate how you said it. In this day and age, he's a rare quality of a guy where he cares a lot about Texas State, cares about this place, and obviously you can't. They won't say it right. They won't say it outright, but you have to feel that him coming back impacted some of the other players to be like, okay, I want to come back.
Yeah.
I want to be back in this team, and just how contagious that leadership is and that passion for Texas State. You can really feel it on him. He is a rare type in this day and age, no doubt.
For sure. Yeah, he's definitely rare. And yeah, getting him back was a huge part of this. And that's the type of momentum we need going into next, season with new challenges, new teams. Um, you know, I think you get someone like Brad back and you look at, Bo and Chris both going to be 1,000-yard receivers, and I think going to that offseason, going to the pack, I mean, I think you create a lot of momentum, and I know it's just offseason stuff, offseason talk, but it's going to be hard to find three better offensive players coming into a season than those guys.
Yeah. And I can't let you go without bringing up recruiting at all, especially with the transfer portal window coming up. Now you have a little bit better of an idea with guys who are going to enter the portal. Oh, how many players are you looking at when you look at the portal? Like, oh, we got to go get 10 guys. We got to go get this many.
Yeah.
What is your kind of soft number there?
It really is hard. I just had a meeting with Don and Kelsey Solis, our compliance officer, who does give her a shout out, does an unbelievable job. Really helping us and being on top of everything that goes into college athletics and especially us with college football with roster management and compliance and contracts and all that goes into that. And so we were going over all the numbers and kind of projecting some things. And I think it's just such a fluid situation. I don't think anyone's really going to know until the portal gets open and guys that leave and trying to sign guys, and with only one portal window now, that kind of changes some philosophy things and things you need to do. But I think it's going to be great. Have a spring with your guys for the most part. Hopefully, we get to sign most of our guys in this one portal window and get them here for school and be able to start develop them and building that team chemistry. For the spring, something that you've been around me for a couple of years now. I'm super weird about that. The spring stuff and who's going to be here, who's not going to be here, and installations and jersey numbers and all that goes into spring. So hopefully we can kind of get back to a normal spring. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it weird. You're cautious. You're cautious with it.
Yeah.
I can respect it, especially when there was a window open at the end of spring, you're kind of putting your guys on display when you let a lot of people in. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and I think
weird
there's
times.
yeah, definitely some weird times, but hopefully we're able to open things up a little bit and really not only that, but just the team chemistry part of it and building um, a roster and be able to really do more installs than you'd like to see and put them in more live situations and because this is your team, so hopefully that helps with all that.
All right, we'll send you off with this one. You're up in Fort Worth. You're familiar with the DFW area. It's the third bowl there. You also went to high school in that area. Is it nice to go back up to those old stomping grounds, some area that you're familiar with, or are you ready to start playing in other places?
No, no, I love it. Like you said, from this area, and my grandparents are from Fort Worth, and so, for me, it's especially special because, my grandparents have been able to come to every, bowl game that we've had. And obviously my grandma passed away last year, so she didn't get to come to last year's bowl game. But my grandpa's, he's still hanging around. And so this will be his third consecutive bowl game to be able to come to. So as many as my family members can come to these games, and same thing with our players. A lot of our players have a lot of family able to come to the games. I think it's just great for those guys, and then great for the university as well. I think that's one thing that we can really be proud of is how we show up for these bowl games. And I think if it's anything like the last 2 years, I know the Bobcats will be in Fort Worth, and we'll be packing that place out, and have a real home field advantage, which is really cool to see in a bowl game. When you look around these bowl games across the country, that's not necessarily the case for most of the G5s, and we travel like a P4 Pac-12 team. And I think that was one of the draws of the pack is the way we travel, and our following, and all that. So I'm super excited about the game. Super excited in Fort Worth, and hopefully, when you come to the game and you drink all the beer, maybe you'll make some donations, after the game in the second half to our NIL fund.
Yeah, let the libations lube everybody up.
There you
Get their
go.
get their wallets ready and
I love
everything.
it.
Hey, GJ, this was awesome. Thank you so much for taking out some time during this busy week with the bowl game and everything. I really appreciate you coming here. Good luck to you on Friday, and can't wait to get up there and join you.
Yep, for sure. Sounds good. See you there.
Great stuff there from GJ Kinne. Really cool of him to make some time to come on Win Now or Get Bent during this week. It's such a busy week for the team. They have a lot of bowl events. They're practicing after traveling up to Fort Worth and getting a practice schedule going. And for him to carve out some time to come talk to us and let us know what's going on with the Bobcats was really cool. So thank you to GJ Kinne. Really appreciate that. You guys heard what he said about the spring, right? Yeah, I feel like that was him hinting that he might open it up a little bit more for the media. I don't have to be at every practice, but it is always nice to get in there and see what's going on and keep this off-season content machine going. I don't have to see everything. Show me the playbook. I just want to see some of the new players, maybe some new defensive schemes. But hopefully we'll see. We'll see what's happening in the spring. We've got a bowl game to worry about, though. That's first. Armed Forces Bowl this Friday. I know a lot of you will be there. I hinted at it before. My prediction is Bobcats, they're going to run away with it. I'm seeing it. They're favored to win by a touchdown, two touchdowns, what was it, 14 and a half points. So whatever that is, I don't know how you get the half point. But I think the Bobcats, they're gonna do that. It's gonna be a 2 to 3 score win for Texas State. Maybe we even do get to see some Gavin Parkhurst get in there after a nice blowout. We saw that 2 years ago against this team. They won pretty handedly. I think just all the changes on offense as well for Rice, it's going to lead to some turnovers for this Texas State defense. I believe in this Greg-led defense. I love that all these players are coming back. It's going to be a big day for the Bobcats on Friday. A noon kickoff. I still can't believe that. It's so early. It's going to be great. It's nice, I mean, you're even talking to some people like, I might just head back after the game on Friday. I'm set to stay. I'm already going to stay on Friday night, just in case anything fun pops off. You got to be around Fort Worth. But this was a great episode. I can't wait to get up to Fort Worth with the Wizard, Zachary Webb. Check it out, my guy, Zachary Webb. We got to get him on this pod. I wanted to do a bowl preview with him. Maybe we'll do something in Fort Worth when we're both up there. I'd love to get that going, but we will both be up there, excited to do that. So we'll bring you some more content besides this episode, which was brought to you by Austin Patchmaster, austin.patchmaster.com. Hole in the wall, give 8 p.m. a call. Drywall repair, paint jobs, popcorn removal, and more. Whether you're moving in, moving out, or just looking to upgrade, Austin Patchmaster has you covered. Owned and operated by a Tech State grad and a true Tech State sicko, my guy, Michael Clements. Austin Patchmaster was one of our very first sponsors, and they're still with us after 3 seasons. Over 200 plus 5-star reviews on Google. Check them out, austin.patchmaster.com. That's austin.patchmaster.com, 512-200-3888. Again, that's 512-200-3888. All right. Make sure you check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/WinNowOrGetBent. No WNOGB gear on for me today, but I do have this awesome Sailor Boco sweater that my wife got me for Christmas. Check this one out. If you're not looking on YouTube, check us out on YouTube, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, youtube.com/WinNowOrGetBent. You can like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and you can see this awesome sweater that I have, one of my favorite Christmas gifts I got this season. I love it. I'm going to wear this one all the time. I wish it was colder, so I could wear it all the time. I'm in my garage, in the studio in my garage, and it's pretty cold in here, so it's working out for me today. But it's been an exceptionally hot December, and I really wanted to bust out some sweaters. And once again, check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WinNowOrGetBent. If you're already watching, thank you so much. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, all the stuff that helps us beef our way up that algorithm. That's what we're trying to do. Check us out on Twitter at WinNowOrGetBent and on Instagram and TikTok at WNOGB. Get some good bowl content on those last two for you coming up. If you're an audio head like me and you put the earbuds in and you're on the go, thank you so much. If you're on Apple or Spotify, make sure you leave us a rating and subscribe to it so it downloads right to your devices. And don't forget to tell all your friends. You can sign up accounts for them. Subscribe to us on all our channels. Do whatever you got to do. You got a Roadrunner that you hate in your life, you can go ahead and sign them up as well. I'm sure they'd love that. A big thank you to TGC LLC, Been Having It Hats, BHIHats.com. Got a nice GJ Kinne approval when he saw this one. I guess the first time he's seen me in it. I only really wear it on the pod. I don't want to mess it up. I wear it in my everyday life, sparingly. It's not one I try to sweat in or anything. It's too nice for that. But yeah, and shout out to Austin Patchmaster, of course. Big shout out to the wizard, Zachary Webb, my guy here at Win Now or Get Bent. And thank you to you sickos. Without you, we'd be shouting into the void. But because of you, we are able to continue this thing. Another bowl game, 3rd year in a row bowl game. Exciting times. Can't wait to get in Fort Worth. If you're in Fort Worth, give me a shout. Give me a shout out. I'll come and find you at one of these events or whatever we have going on for Texas State at the game. It's going to be a fun time. But all right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, win now or get bent.